Okay, so listen up. I'm telling you, this is going to be your one-stop solution. This is going to be the easiest, most simpleton way to clean out your PS5 and stop it from immediately shutting down after you've been playing any kind of PS5 game. Okay, so I've had this trouble with a few PS5s now. The first one was shortly after launch. I ended up sending it in after a bunch of failed attempts to have Sony help me out, and then from there, about a year later with my new one, same thing happening, right? And then we've got a second PS5 in our household since we've got a big family, and again, same issue kind of creeping up. So I'm going to show you again the most simple way. I'm telling you, this is the solution. Barring any odd potential hardware issues that your PS5 may have, maybe a faulty drive or whatever, I'm telling you this is the solution. So all you need to do this is the T8 screwdriver. So that is this thing here. Kind of looks like a, what is it, six end, little star kind of shape. Anyways, you can find these online. Again, this is the one I'm using, and it works perfectly for this. So here we go. We're gonna do this all just in a few minutes. Very easy to do. And then I'll stop your PS5 from shutting off. Okay, so the first thing you wanna do is take off the plates. Let me focus this again. Okay, so easy. If you haven't seen any videos to take off the plates, just start by this side where the PlayStation logo is. You're gonna pull up a little, just lightly, and push, and it'll pop off. I already had it a little bit loose for this, just for that, but so that's how you get that piece off. And then you're gonna do the same thing on the other side. And you wanna do it from the same angle that you did the other one. So I'm just gonna, again, get that piece off here. So just for this specifically, I already took this one piece off just because I literally forgot to put it on. But I did this about a week ago and has completely solved my problem. So forgive me, I just forgot to put this piece back on when I initially put it back together. But alas, here we are. So at this point, you're going to use this little thing here. I should also mention, good to have one of these little tools here, little pry tool. But if you got some other soft items like a credit card or something, those will work too sometimes. So we want to remove this little black piece here. This is the digital version. The disc version will have kind of a larger piece, but essentially they're the same item. So you just want to peel it up from where these wires go in, but you want to make sure that you're not making contact or you've accidentally kind of scooped up one of the wires when you do it, because these wires are extremely, extremely fragile. And I've taken items of other electronics apart, and these are very easy to sever or cut. So just be very careful of that. But it's just, again, adhesive, so it might be finicky the first time, but you just kind of want to yank on it. Eventually it'll come up. And again, it's just glued. Just don't want to snap it entirely, but so there's that little piece there. So I'll just set that aside. Now, I've seen a couple of suggestions on how to take this item out. You just want to be careful, because I wouldn't use pliers. I've seen people suggest using pliers, but I would be very careful with that. I'm going to zoom in here. So you'll see kind of like a darker yellow on the outside here on both sides. You do not want to pull on those, because those are actually soldered to the motherboard. So that would pretty much brick your console. But we do need to remove this little white piece here. So how I did it, and worked quite well, is I just take two pieces, and I just want to put pressure on both sides, and then just kind of like wiggle it back and forth like that. So I'm just using a screwdriver and a pry tool. See how nice and easy that came up? And then the reason I don't suggest using a set of like needle nose pliers or anything like that is because if you're pinching and it loses grip, it'll cut right through these soft wires, okay? So you don't want to do that. So next, just unwrap it from the little piece of plastic there, and you're already pretty much ready to pull the fan out, except for this little plastic piece. So there's 2 inserts. Sorry, I'll adjust this. So this black plastic piece needs to come off in order to give access to this screw right here. So you can just yank it, but again, you don't want to break it. I find the best place to grab it is over here. Just stick your finger in here and just pull. And this little plastic tab will kind of give and just pull it out, and you'll see that tab that was there, that was holding it in, has come loose. And then from there, it's very easy. Just lightly pull it up, and then you've got that piece out. So just set that aside. This is where you need that T8 screwdriver. So just, you're gonna remove all these screws. And you wanna remember, because these screws, these 4 ones, are actually all different lengths. So I would set them aside just kind of in the same shape, so you're not fiddling a whole bunch when you're trying to get them back in. So I'm just gonna quickly unscrew these. Okay. See, I think this one's like a semi-long one. So I'm just gonna actually set them right here. Actually, that's bad practice. I'm setting it up here so I don't lose it. And again, I'm just gonna put them kind of in the same shape on my desk that they need to go back in. So I'm just using my hand there. Again, next one. And the last one here. And I'm not going to speed any of this up, because if you're trying to follow along, I've had so many videos where I'm trying to do the same thing as them, and I fumble so much trying to rewind and pause and go around that I just get lost anyway. So I'm kind of moving at the normal pace that I would if I was just on my own. So again, I had originally forgotten to put this piece back on, so this will have been on, which whatever, not a big deal. So just take that piece off. And then this piece is ready to come up. That's the fan. So just lightly, gently bring that up. And one thing you're going to notice if this is the first time is this thing's going to be caked with like dust bunnies, just huge amounts of dust. So you can use a few different methods to clean it out. You know, a can of air works, using a vacuum gently on the outside just to get rid of the big dust bunnies works great. You can use Q-tips and just do all that, but you know, don't connect anything if there's any liquid or if it hasn't dried off. So just be aware of that. But mine's still sort of dirty, but that's not been the problem. So again, you're going to see other videos where they're talking about how you got to clean these out so perfectly. Yeah, it's good practice, but it's really not the problem. So we're going to keep moving on here. Now, one thing I noticed when I first pulled this up is there were a bunch of dust bunnies kind of stuck in here. And then when I lifted it, I'm going to see if I can get this. You can actually see the heatsink right there. See those ridges down there? That is the heatsink. And the first thing I noticed in good lighting is when you look at those, you're going to probably see a bunch of dust caked onto these. And really that's the problem, is that's just caked up, and then it just blocks the airflow, overheats your PS5, and then it shuts off. And then the reason that's probably only happening on PlayStation 5 games and not your PS4 games is simply just because the PS5 games require more power and are, you know, generating more heat, which is eventually just triggering the shutdown of your console. So again, it extends all the way down there. It's hard to kind of get the angle, but you can see it's sort of like two-tiered, the heatsink. So there's a second one there. And now this is the funny part. The easiest way to clean this out that I found, and this is the trick, is you're just going to want to pick it up and you're going to blow down towards from this side. So see these ridges in here? So you want to blow into the ridges the same direction that the air would kind of go in or whatever. So I just held it sideways like this, and I just blow, and I move along, blowing along these edges, and you're already seeing a little bit of dust that's coming out. But I just blew along these really hard along both sides. And as I was doing this, huge amounts of dust bunnies were flying out of this part of the fan casing. And what I did is I just had a hand vacuum, just held it nearby, just above, and it was just sucking up tons of little dust bunnies. And I just did that, and it kept coming out. And honestly, that's the first time I had seen this trick or a kind of approach to doing this. And it's been, more than a week now. And I've had a number of long sessions. I've been playing Elden Ring. I've been playing the new PlayStation VR 2, Resident Evil, you name it. And I haven't had a single shutdown since I've done this. So simple as that. I mean, you'll know it's clean because you'll be able to verify by looking at the heatsink, because that is the main issue, is that the heatsink is free of debris. Anyways, so once you've done that, you've collected all those dust bunnies out. It's a pretty simple reassembly. You're just gonna carefully insert that fan and make sure the wires are in the right spot. Those wires will tuck under there, and then you just gently push that in. Again, don't put pressure on the wires, because even pressure can kind of break or bend them too much where they won't work. So just put it lightly, and then with your nails, I would just press down, and then you'll know it's in. And then from there, I'm just going to put this metal plate back on. Yeah, that looks about right. I'm trying to remember. Oh yeah, that's right. So there's a couple of holes on two of the sides. So you want to make sure those line up with these little black pieces so that they stick. And there's a bigger one for the bigger hole. So that's the way it goes. There'll be a little sticky part here that covers part of the wire. So that's how you know that you've got it all lined up correctly. And then now that I've got my screws placed properly on the desk, I know where they need to go. So I'm going to screw this one in. Again, sorry, my hand's blocking. And they are quite tight to screw back in. So just, that's okay. You know you have them in the right spot. There we go. There's the first one. And then the second. That went nice and quick. And lastly, this last screw here. Okay. There we go. Everything's looking nice and solid. Make sure those wires are just safely tucked in there. I'm going to place that adhesive strip right back on, right where it was. Kind of got it off center there. That's fine. There we go. And you're ready to rock. It's simple to put these plates back on. Same way you took them off. Hey guys, literally just did the exact same thing as I did before, where I forgot to put one piece back in. This plastic piece, again, sorry. Real easy, just insert both sides first. Boom. Place that back in. They just kind of find the slots, there you go. Push down a little bit and then pop it back in. And do the same thing on this side. And just can make sure these hooks are in the right direction. They'll pop in. There you go. And literally all we needed for this, these two items. And that was it. I mean, this literally solved all my problems. I've had occasional shut-offs on my other PS5, which has stopped, and this one, which was worse. I haven't had a single one in more than a week, which is which is honestly a miracle. And I didn't have to call Sony. I didn't have to send it in. I didn't have to do anything crazy. I didn't have to massively disassemble my entire PS5, risking, damage because I'm not a professional. It was easy. And so, anyways, I hope this works for you. Let me know if it does. And I don't really care about any kickback or anything. I just want to help everybody else. And if it does, let people know in the comments so we can help others figure this issue out. Thanks.